The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
You're listening to the Alldus podcast, ServiceNow series. Our guest today is Chandra Sekhar Chappa. Chandra is the head of global co-innovation for ServiceNow at Google. Chandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John, for inviting me to the show.
It's a pleasure. So we've got lots to cover, but I want to start with yourself, please, as we do with all of our guests. Could you walk us through your career journey and some key moments that shaped the course of your career and help you get to where you are today?
I started my career back in 2009, right after my college. I started as tutoring my juniors in information technology around C++ coding, Java coding. That's how I started. It's been a wonderful experience. And then from there, I've been part of multiple multinational companies. So I started initially with Tata Consultancy Services, worked on mainframes, and then eventually transitioned into ServiceNow's ecosystem, where predominantly been on the platform for the last decade or so, building ServiceNow applications and building enterprises to use ServiceNow in a way that it brings value. And then eventually, I worked at Amazon as a senior engineering manager and launched the first SaaS platform for Amazon with ServiceNow. And then, right now at Google, leading the co-innovation with ServiceNow and Google.
So before we talk about your role and the trends, I want to speak a little bit about the impact that mentorship played on influencing your journey. And then now as a senior person in a global role at such a prestigious organization, what advice would you now offer to people who are earlier in their career? So it's two parts. So how did mentorship help you early on? And now paying it forward, what can you share for those who are starting out on their journey?
Personally, I feel mentors are important at every stage of your life, right? Initially, it started with my dad. I would say he always used to give the advice that you need to work hard in your career. And that's something that's constantly stayed with me. And then right from my college, I had mentors in my professors. So I had a professor who always used to give me the critical feedback, not just like this, but hey, here's the area that you need to work on. As I moved on into my other companies, right, especially at TCS, I had my leads and my supervisors, like, they were really good in giving me the right feedback. So, and then I transitioned into ServiceNow. During ServiceNow, at ServiceNow, I also used to work for ServiceNow. And then that's where, I stepped into a place where my complete journey was different at that point of time, and then moved into ServiceNow's ecosystem. So folks in ServiceNow really helped me understand the whole platform. So there were mentors from different orgs within ServiceNow that I had to reach out. And then eventually Amazon happened, right? Amazon is where, again, I had some good mentors guiding me, especially in the side of service management ecosystem. And then at Google, I think the current people that I work with have super solid advisors, especially in the mentorship. And then how do you give it back is, you give it back to the community, by telling the people, the younger kids, like, hey, where to focus on, how to get the best value out of any field that they choose. I think that's where, it influences people in a way that they can shape their career.
Love that. Thank you so much. Normally we would ask that towards the end, but I know in conversations we had off air, I wanted to get it in early because it's part of what shaped your journey. So focusing on your current role and responsibilities, please tell us what does Google and ServiceNow co-innovation look like in practice, and what are the problems that you're working on together?
So our partnership with ServiceNow is fundamentally about making work together better for our customers. I think both for Google customers and also ServiceNow customers. And then we are Google is a leader in AI and data, and we believe in ServiceNow they are a leader in end-to-end digital transformation, an intelligent platform that can work from workflows and build better orchestration within the ServiceNow's domain. And it's called a platform of platforms. So combining these two together and bring the best of both of them to our customers is the core foundation of this partnership.
So you mentioned there, Chandra, that look, Google are a leader in AI and ServiceNow also looking to be a leader in the world of AI. When you combine Google AI and ServiceNow AI coming together, what type of impact can it have? What are you seeing where it's delivering real value for enterprises? Are there any examples that you could share with us?
Yeah, I think the primary importance of Google AI and ServiceNow AI together is to actually show the real world value, saying that enterprises will now move from POCs and pet projects to actually go do some real work and do a production scale activity is what the whole partnership and to bring the real value. So in that sense, again, as I said, Google's leadership capabilities around AI and AI foundation and the models that we have is the core orchestration engines. And as I said, ServiceNow is the actual intelligent platform that can deliver these results to the customers. By combining this, we can actually give the purpose-built workflows and have a single system of action, right? Like if you think of ServiceNow's AI control tower, so Google Gemini can be the product where customers can bring in their own agents, ServiceNow agents, and have a single interface. And then ServiceNow can go and execute these actions using their agents within their platform. So that's one piece to it. And then the second piece is the AI control tower. If you think of ServiceNow's AI control tower, it's the one single platform for the full governance and agnostic platform for governance from a control tower standpoint. So enterprises, as we move into the future, will have tons of agents across their enterprise, and
Mm-hmm.
you would want to have this visibility. Where all these agents live is within Gemini, but AI Control Tower will get that visibility back into your governance teams, policy teams, and compliance teams. So that means one is driving the execution around like bringing the value to the customers. And then the other is basically giving you that visibility so that your governance teams can act on top of it.
Yeah, I want to elaborate on on your last point, Chandra, because I think it's an important one. You mentioned the AI control tower and how that can give broader governance and visibility. So, can you explain in simple terms the AI control tower in operations and why it matters?
Yeah, I think let's to simply explain, right? Think of this as a we have an application CMDB today, right? Let's say in the current world's ecosystem, you want to have your application services mapped to CMDB. So now this is more of a full visibility of all of your agents. One, you want to know what is the discoverability of your agents, and two, let's say what is the agent capabilities and functionalities. Say let's say you have a call center agent or you have a root cause analysis agent. What are the tools the root cause analysis agent actually connects to, and what sort of capabilities that root cause analysis agent is having? So all of that information can be captured within your AI control tower, and you can now see its execution information on a day-to-day. What is this agent doing on a day-to-day basis? On what sort of reasoning it is going through? What LLM it's using behind the scenes to do the reasoning? And what sort
Mhm.
of functions it's calling to come up with the values or come up with the information that's proposing to the users, how this agent is being used. Is this agent being used as an orchestrator or this agent being used as a secondary agent to another primary agent? So all of this information can be easily seen within the AI control towers ecosystem. So this gives the enterprises the ability to quickly, you know, to view what's happening within their agentic ecosystem.
What are some of the outcomes customers are seeing, and what are you seeing as the biggest opportunities for early adopters?
There are two things, right? Like we can talk on this. One is the unified data. Basically, our Google BigQuery acts as a unified data ecosystem where customers can tap into. And then, as I said, right, ServiceNow is an intelligent workflow automation platform. So we have built a zero copy integration that can actually bring these two systems and platforms together where customers can see an early value. So in today's world, data is the key for everything. And to build a comprehensive ecosystem, you would have to, bring in all of this data together and then apply on top of it. So a lot of enterprises struggle with that. But what ServiceNow and Google has done is like, let's address this problem then and there. They built a comprehensive mechanism called a zero copy connector between Google and ServiceNow, where customers need not do this and build a data lake. Just connect the two systems and use ServiceNow's workflow data fabric and agentic workflows to actually get the real-time data from BigQuery and has the customer experience. So in real time, let's say a simple example would be I want to do a predictive maintenance and my information is not available for IoT system within ServiceNow, but it's readily available in BigQuery. So ServiceNow's automation platform or the agentic platform can actually query that data in real time. And then let's say a store manager can immediately make an action item saying that, okay, I get the data right now. So combining these things, right, will actually take a lot of time for enterprise. But now with a single equation, companies can use these two systems together and within the span of 2 to 3 weeks you can actually see the value out of this whole ecosystem. So that's one piece where customers can take advantage of it today. And then the second experience is the CRM experience. We know that ServiceNow is also going into the CRM space, and then their majority of the business driving is from the ServiceNow CRM ecosystem. So, using Google's contact center AI, integrating into ServiceNow CRM. So basically now we are connecting again, as I said in my previous questions, right? Like, where we bring the Google's generative AI capabilities to ServiceNow CRM by integrating this. And we've already seen some customers using this and increase their self-service rate by 76% today. So these are the kind of benefits early adopters can get by using these two platforms.
What separates the organizations who make a successful transformation from those who struggle? What do you see as being the main things that will separate those?
Yeah, I think a great question actually. And then in my past experience, I've seen this happen, right? Like where some organizations stall at a certain point, but some organizations are quickly ready to adopt and move on. And then I think one piece is like why Google and ServiceNow doing this is to bring this already built-in ecosystems to your enterprise strategy so that you don't have to build from the scratch. I think a lot of organizations end up building something within their own, which takes a significant amount of time, somewhere around like 12 to 18 months to actually see the value of it. But with, for example, Google Vertex AI, you already have all the LLMs, you already have the secure foundations already established, right? Take advantage of it. At the same time, ServiceNow has its intelligent platform, for example, which we were talking like a couple of minutes ago about the workflow data fabric with zero copy connector. So, and then Google's AI is directly embedded into the ServiceNow's platform as well. For all of your ServiceNow agentic workflows, you can use Gemini as the LLM and then run your agentic workflows on the ServiceNow system. So this is where, the organizations need to tap into this ecosystem and start building upon, rather than doing like a POC with an LLM and then try out an agent. Instead,
Yeah.
use this ecosystem opportunity that you already have and go build upon it. And one more thing that I want to add is moving away from that POC analogy and having a right vision from an organizational standpoint. Hey, we want to see ourselves moving into an agentic ecosystem within the next 6 months and working backwards from there. Like, what are the tools that you need, and what are the teams that you need, and what sort of training that your teams need. So, by combining all of this together, it can actually help bring that transition into these organizations.
And these are conversations that are being had at C-suite level across all enterprise organizations all the time. And speaking to an audience of CTOs and CIOs, what would you recommend that they focus on for the next 12 to 18 months when it comes to their AI adoption and AI strategy?
Yeah, I think great question again. I think majority of the CIOs and CTOs that I work with today, basically their experience or my experience when talking to them is to have a trusted advisors and partners, right? So, for example, you take Google. So, Google is a specific set of leadership, and again in AI, right? Understand from them, have a conversation, and truly understand where Google is trying to bring the AI, and use that for your leverage. And then that is when you can start seeing your organizational transformation. So have this advice from the partners and your own. You probably will have your own technology leaders within your organizations. It has to be two ways. It cannot be sometimes like bottom up. It also cannot be from the top down as well. So have that balance. Understand what your partners are saying. Understand what your trusted advisors are saying. Lean in and then make a collective advice that actually addresses your company's vision and your organization's vision, and then move forward with that. And as I said, change is completely evident in the next upcoming 12 to 18 months. How do you adopt to that change with the tools that you have and with the partners that you're working will shape your organization's future and also your employees' future.
Yeah, you're so right. The rate of change is impacting enterprises, but it's also impacting people's career decisions and what they choose to focus on, because the pace of change is so fast now that it's hard to predict what someone should study in university, because will it be relevant once they reach their graduate stage. If you were coming into the, you know, making decisions now at the early point of your career, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
One thing that stuck to me is always like, good things happen to good people. There would be days where you feel that, you know, there's no tomorrow and there's where am I heading? There's no direction. During the days like that or during the times like that is when, the mentorship thing that we have asked, right? They play a critical role. Go talk to people, have a, solid foundation or a network of friends that can help you. And I've been in that situations in my past experience, and eventually all that will go away. So trust in yourself, and as I said, right, good things happen to good people. And my dad's advice of keep working hard, and then eventually you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. There could be days like that, but you just keep moving on. You just keep focusing on what's the next most important thing that I have to focus on. And sometimes you may feel like, hey, there's no strategy here, or there's no you know light around here, and everything may seem dark. But as you keep moving along, as you keep moving forward, and it eventually comes back to you. The other thing is, I would tell myself that don't hesitate to try the stuff that you do not know. Don't hesitate to step into an unknown charter. I had a lot of self-doubt in my career when doing these things, but when I actually did that, it did comment out into a good shape. And ServiceNow is one of such things. I was completely into financial services, doing different things, and then ServiceNow was a tool that I was started using it, and then eventually became a ServiceNow platform expert over a period of time. The initial transition was so rough that I was doubting myself. I was like, yeah, am I doing the right thing? But because of all the ServiceNow platform experience and everything that I've done in the ServiceNow space is where I am today, is what I believe. And that's where I tell the all the others is, when you're entering into a chapter where it's unknown to you, give yourself that time, give yourself that credit that you can do it, and eventually things will fall in place.
Chandra, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. It was an absolute pleasure to hear from you, to learn a little bit about your career journey, get advice, learn what you learned from mentors, but most importantly, get a look behind the scenes of some of the amazing work that's happening at Google in its ServiceNow adoption and the collaboration with Google AI and ServiceNow AI. Very exciting times. So we wish you, your team, and everyone at Google within the ServiceNow org the best of luck in the next year ahead, and look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, John.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.